So this, ladies and gentlemen, is Monarch Crest single track. Finally. Hey, cheap roads. We got Riley with us today. Probably not gonna be going super fast, but it'll be fun. It's okay to ride slow. It's good for us. Work on your balance. But you know what? Let's talk about something. So I want to talk about why the 300 is such a good bike. Especially for, I would say beginner to advanced. You know how to ride a dirt bike, you've ridden dirt bikes. I think the 300 is the best bike. And this stuff right here is the reason why. Because like you can just go slow and lug up things, especially if you have kids. You just lug up things and you don't have to think about it. You just give it a little more throttle and the thing will chug up anything. Whereas like a smaller bore two-stroke, you got to put some work into it to keep that thing in the power band so it doesn't stall out on you. Where the 300 is pretty tough to stall. I mean, it will, obviously. But as long as your gearing's basically right or you have some modicum of clutch control, you're going to be A-okay. But stuff like this, where we're riding a little bit slower behind a younger kid, this is why the 300 is so great. That's my opinion. So, if you were a beginner rider, what would I advise you get? And you want to do these kinds of trails, or even work your way up to these kinds of trails, 300 every time. Every time. And that's what I suggest to people who just want to, people my age that just want to get out and ride. Because you'll still learn, you don't learn quite like you learn on a small bore, where you really got to learn the bike and learn how to make it do what you want. This 300 just wants to do it, so it is nice. It is nice. A little throttle, a little clutch, and front wheel comes up over anything. And as long as you have some level of throttle control, the 300 it's an easy bike to ride. Now, not all 300s are the same, obviously. I'm riding the xTrainer, which is like pretty, kind of detuned a little bit. There's not a lot as much top end, where Tommy's 300 it's a banshee if you really want to get on it. But something like a Beta, even a Beta double R is pretty docile compared to his KTM. It's a much more rideable bike for the uninitiated. So these are things to think about. Now a lot of people argue that it's best to learn on a smaller bore two-stroke, and I think there's a good argument for that too. It teaches you a lot about clutch control and really just how to ride a bike in places the bike doesn't necessarily want to be. So yeah, there's for sure some benefit to learning on a smaller bore bike. But for stuff like this, where you're out riding slow, I'll tell you what, this is a much easier bike to ride. Any 300 is a much easier bike to ride. It's just like, it's like the perfect combination of torque, low end torque, power. It's lightweight, it's flickable. Obviously 4-strokes have a lot of torque, but they're also bigger and heavier and not as flickable as these 2-strokes are, for sure. I mean, it's less tiring riding one of these. And again, might be unpopular opinion, but it's just mine. I've always liked 2-strokes. Not to say I don't like 4-strokes, because I do. I just prefer these on single track. But what was I getting at there? Fun trail, a little rocky, not bad. Definitely an intermediate single track, so far anyway. But it's pretty out here. It is pretty out here. Share the trail.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Enjoy. people, there's no reason to be a dick. And just because somebody else is a dick to you, don't carry on with that stuff, man. Most mountain bikers are really cool. There's a few entitled assholes for sure, and just like there's a few entitled dirt bikers too. I mean, there's all kinds in every sport, but we can share the trail, get along with each other. Now, if there's some cons for a beginner rider to be on a 300, there are some, right? It's a powerful bike. If you have any chance of whiskey throttling, the thing will take off on you. And again, not all 300s are built the same. Not all 300s are built the same. Betas are a little more rideable, KTMs are a little more crazy and raceable. So they're all a little bit different. They're all a little bit different. It's a fun trail. Not super tough, but keep you on your toes. So that's my 2 cents on why I think the 300 is just the best bike for, I'd say, anybody that's been riding a little bit. You know, maybe you start off on, if you've never ridden before, maybe you start off on something a little easier, but don't be afraid to take that plunge, that 300 plunge. As long as you're moderately responsible with your own life, you should be fine. And really shop around, find something that you like, that you're comfortable on. But, you know, the biggest part of comfort in riding is finding something you feel comfortable on. You know, if you're taller, you know, your height will make definitely helps determine what the best bike might be. Betas are a little shorter. Can't speak for gas. But these Austrian bikes are rather tall. And if you're just starting out, the nicest things is to be able to put a foot down and not tip over. But once you get really good, it doesn't really matter that much. You have enough balance, you'll figure out how to get a foot down. You know, even if you're 5'2". Man, this is pretty. It is not ugly out here. It is not ugly out here. Anyway, if you got any questions on dirt bikes or what you think you might get, or you know, I think step one is figuring out what you want to do. And a lot of times when you start out, you don't know what you want to do. You just have the bug to buy a dirt bike. And you know, obviously, if you're going to go ride motocross, you can go buy a motocross bike. If you want to ride trails, buy a trail bike. Don't buy a motocross bike, and vice versa. You know. So if you could figure that much out, you got a pretty good head start. And I guess some advice, regardless of what bike you get, is make sure that if you're just starting out, and this is a pitfall that I see a lot, and it, you know, for some people it works out fine, for others not so much. Avoid buying a motocross bike because they're cheaper. All right, because they're, you know, the first bike I got when I moved out here was a motocross bike, and it was the biggest mistake I could have made. It was exhausting, and I gave up riding for a while. I was like, I don't know if I like this anymore, you know. But once I got on a bike I enjoyed, it was a different story altogether. So the key is buy a bike that, you know, is tailored more towards what you want to do, and don't Don't try to save money. Get the right thing, or the closest to the right thing, or something that can be made the right thing for, you know, little to no money. Make sure you like it. You jump on a CRF 450R out here, you're going to find that it's a lot more exhausting than it needs to be. You know, not because the bike's ridiculously powerful, which it is, but it's just, it's not, the suspension and stuff isn't made for this kind of stuff. So yeah, again, I guess the biggest pitfall would be don't buy a bike that's not designed to be a trail bike if you're riding on trails. And I've seen it kill too many people's, you know, desire to keep riding. Again, that doesn't go for everybody. Some people are just hardcore, ride anything. But, you know, most of the uninitiated folks that are just trying to get into this, you know, what bike you buy is a big part of it. So, I don't know, food for thought there. Food for thought.